Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to this special edition Outside Garage Talk episode on one of the first new 2027 motorcycles of the calendar year. That's right, we have Suzuki's 2027 GSX-R1000R. This is Suzuki's top of the range leader class superbike in 40th anniversary, actually 41st anniversary color edition. In this episode, we're going to give you all the ins and outs about this bike before we hop out on the road and give it a review. Who's ready to talk bikes? This episode of Garage Talk is supported by Ogio and its modular tank ring motorcycle storage system. The tank ring is really easy to install on bikes and can be paired with Ogio's S2 fixed 4-liter tank bag for a really slick and affordable storage solution. Now back to the episode. All right, everyone, there it is, Suzuki's 2027 GSX-R1000RS. Suzuki's top of the range superbike for the 2027 model year. Of course, this motorcycle, even though it looks very similar, minus the 40th anniversary colorway and bodywork, to its 2026 GSX-R1000R, this bike actually has a lot of modifications inside that 999cc inline-four engine. You're not gonna be able to see any of this stuff, but this engine has been significantly reworked. We've got an updated crankshaft, we have a new cylinder head, new camshafts, bigger diameter exhaust valves, the intake system has been redesigned. It's still a dual fuel injector system, but Suzuki's pumped up the fuel injection pressure, so now it's got a little bit extra pressure, so it flows more fuel rather through those fuel injectors. I think the primary is still an 8-hole, but the secondary went from 10-hole to 8-hole, which usually would mean is that a worse change, but because it's pushing more fuel through it, it's actually a good change. And the intake funnels have also been shortened just to give this bike a little bit more top end power. Other changes include an updated oil sump pan to accommodate this new exhaust. That's right, this motorcycle has a new exhaust system, and this exhaust system was really fitted for European compliance. If you remember, Suzuki's GSX-R1000R went away in Europe and Japan for that matter due to noise and emissions rules, so Suzuki had to do some homework and re-engineer a couple components, actually more than a couple components, on the powertrain to get this thing compliant all over the world, and us American riders inherit those changes. Of course, this engine is good for right around 170 horsepower at the tire and a ton of torque. Now, full 4.2 gallons of fuel, this motorcycle weighs in at 448 pounds. It rolls on a pair of 17-inch wheels with Showa suspension. We have that inverted BFF pressurized fork right here, which is really nice because you can make your preload adjustments up top and you can do the rebound and compression damping on the bottom of the fork leg. The damping circuits are independent to each fork leg, so you have independent damping control on each fork leg. That is a high-end feature and a feature that a lot of motorcycles are going away from, so it's a good thing Suzuki still employs that. Out back we have Showa's linkage equipped balance free cushion shock. Again, spring preload adjustment right there and damping adjustment atop the shock body right there. We've used this suspension on the road and track, and it works really well and splits the difference between comfortability and good comfort on the road, but still good road holding when you're really upping the pace on the track. Only knock is I wish Suzuki would have upgraded those Brembo calipers. These are the old school radial mount calipers, and this older school Nissan radial mount master cylinder, which could be the weak link in this bike. We're gonna find out soon, but it's nice that it does carry stainless steel brake lines versus the traditional R bike. Another cool note is the frame here. This frame can accommodate an adjustable swing arm pivot mechanism. So it doesn't have it, but you could fit that inside this frame if you wanted. The standard R, you cannot do that. Now, more big news besides the powertrain updates are the electronics. This bike continues to have a 6-axis IMU, which basically gives the vehicle positional awareness, but we now have adjustable launch control, adjustable wheelie control, and Suzuki continues to have its adjustable combined engine power and throttle mode maps right here. We also have IMU powered cornering ABS. Suzuki calls it motion track ABS, but really what it is cornering ABS. Also returns to this model. The IMU and the programming has been updated. So Suzuki was a little bit conservative with some of his traction control and ABS programming. So hopefully that's been updated and it's a little bit more aggressive, but those things have changed. Suzuki also has a cool feature that automatically keeps the rear wheel from lifting too much if you're using the front brake too aggressively, especially down a hill. So that's cool electronic countermeasures that really help you stay safe and have more fun on this bike. Styling wise, of course, this bike has its 40th anniversary livery, and we continue to have these LED insight lights right here where the traditional GSX-R 1000 doesn't have it. This R model does. It also rolls on Bridgestone's tried and true Batlax RS11 tires, which you see right here, not the latest and greatest RS12. Of course, this motorcycle is equipped with an electronic quick shifter that allows for full throttle upshifts and downshifts without having to use the clutch. The programming on the quick shifter has been tweaked too, and you can even flip the shift lever so you can easily reverse the shift pattern for GP shift, which is one up, 5 down if you want that, but we're gonna ride it in traditional street fashion. There is that huge exhaust with the big catalyzer. A lot of aftermarket exhaust companies are gonna like this exhaust system because you can continue to run the stock header and the catalyzer and put on a 3/4 slip-on muffler that will more than likely be 49 state legal. But in stock configuration, look how big this muffler is. Let's give this thing a start, see what it sounds like. Whoa, whoa, it sounds pretty good to me. That is a tasty sounding motorcycle. What do you think, folks? Also think it's cool that Suzuki continues to use its tried and true old school Suzuki key. Yamaha uses its tried and true keys too. I love keyed ignitions, way better than a keyless style ignition fob. We also have this updated LCD display. Suzuki chooses not to use a color TFT for whatever reason, but this backlit display has some functionality courtesy of the updated lift control programming and some of the electronic countermeasures that you can now adjust with this switchgear. It's also worth noting that you can make a lot of the adjustments on this motorcycle on the fly while you're riding. So unlike other motorcycles where you have to stop and set your settings, this bike you can adjust a lot of the parameters while you're riding. It's a super, super nice touch, which brings us to the price of this motorcycle. This motorcycle retails for $18,600, just over $18,600, and will be available now in the United States with a 1-year warranty. As always, if you're looking for more insight on this motorcycle, surf on over to moto-1.com and stay tuned for our episode of Out on the Road, aka Road Test, where we put this motorcycle through our proving grounds and tell you what it's like out on the road. And then stay tuned for another episode in the future where we put this motorcycle head to head with Yamaha's YZF R1M. We're probably going to put it up against Kawasaki's Ninja ZX-10R, which is also new for the 2026 and 2027 model years, so stay tuned for that. And as always, sound off in the comment section. What do you think of this GSX-R 1000R S? You think it's cool looking? I certainly do. Sound off, we want to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next episode of Garage Talk.